And incidentally, I've sort of modified that view since I first expressed it a couple of days ago. Saw a great piece on the CBS Sunday morning show talking about the rich history of the handshake and how we connect with one another. We'll be shaking hands again. The time this is gonna end. We're going to get through this. We're going to survive it. We're not going to be in a perpetual state of fear, of isolation, of social distancing. But we certainly are going to do things a little bit differently. We will have been changed forever. I believe, at least, on in many ways. Welcome in. It is Monday. We're almost to mid-April. I think it's important to remember in terms of context where we are. 557,590 confirmed cases of coronavirus in America. We have lost over 22,000 people here in the United States, 22,109 to be exact. Over the world, we're getting closer to 2 million infections, 863,000 confirmed cases around the world, nearly 115,000 deaths due to coronavirus. The futures are down today. The stock market off to a rough start. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of finger pointing. There's a lot of anger. And I believe a lot of this anger is justified. I've got a headline in front of me that I just don't get. And when I don't understand something, I always come to you because I have the smartest audience in America. I've got wise people north, south, east, and west. I may even have people in Mississippi with boots on the ground who can tell me what in the world is going on there. There were churches that were trying their best to adhere to social guidelines, social distancing guidelines, keeping worshipers physically apart from one another in their own cars. And in at least one Mississippi community of Greenville, the mayor and the city council said absolutely not. They weren't allowing worshipers to drive up to the church parking lot while seated in their car with the car parked 6 feet apart from the next car. And the churches were told you have to have online services. You can't have people show up in their cars in the parking lot. And the mayor and city council of Greenville, Mississippi, banned the drive-in service, the drive-in church service ahead of Easter Sunday. I've got a real simple question. I can start to understand the debate, at least, over letting people go into a house of worship and go to church. I must admit, I do not understand a law enforcement official writing down license plates of people in the church and threatening them with a mandatory 14-day quarantine as a result of attending the church service when that police officer has no idea what that person even did inside the church. They may have all been a minimum of 6 feet apart from each other. They may have all taken great steps to socially distance from one another. I don't know that the police officer knows, but forget that one. Can we just start with the drive-in service, which all of us thought was a remarkable way to let people worship and celebrate Easter, the holiest day of the year for Christians? You're going to tell me that you're going to ban a husband, maybe a wife, maybe you're by yourself, maybe you have your family, you've been quarantined together, you've been isolated, you can't drive into the parking lot of a church service and while seated in your car, listen to a pastor preach the word of God and celebrate Easter? Honestly, I'm at a loss on this one. You're going to have to explain it to me. 1-800-655-MIKE as we welcome you back to my kitchen, working from home on this Monday, April the 13th, 2020. You're going to have to explain how that works. You're going to have to tell me how the mayor and the city council, and I know this kind of crap took place in Kentucky, it happened in Mississippi, it happened in Kansas. There are states where they targeted worship services in a way that they don't target other places that are open. There are places that are open. Target, Walmart, Publix, grocery stores, 7-Elevens, pickups for restaurants, curbside. Now, maybe where I live, it's different than where you live. Maybe you just are not allowed to leave the house. And there's a little thing we ought to have some concern about. It's called the United States Constitution. We are a free people. There are lots of legal protections and rights that we have by nature of the fact that this is America. And I wonder how many rights you're going to let slip away because of the coronavirus. You know me. I have been erring on the side of caution. I'm urging everyone to stay home. I'm urging you to wear a mask. I was one of the first people to say wear a mask. I said that months ago, weeks and weeks ago. I said, if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. A lot of people in Japan and China wear masks. Maybe we should be wearing masks. I don't want us to go back to work too soon. I know the tough decision that our country is going to have to make about going back too soon. I've not erred on the side of carelessness. I believe, I realize, and I've read about, and I've seen the images of the living hell on earth that is emergency rooms in New York City, for example. The funeral homes overwhelmed, the bodies stacked, the sick people bed to bed, frightened, alarmed, terrified, not being able to say goodbye during your last breaths. This is a terrible disease. This is an awful, awful plague upon the land. So you're not going to get me to say this is the flu and we're overreacting and we shouldn't do anything and we should just all go about our lives and everything will be okay. Because it's not. It's going to get better and we're going to get through this. But you've listened to me, I hope, long enough that you know I haven't gone down that path. But I am deeply disturbed about police officers penalizing people and banning people from sitting in their car in the parking lot of a church to hear a pastor preach a service on a loudspeaker.